Hi guys, welcome to another episode of The Aspiring Entrepreneur. I'm your host Hamza Chowdhury. It is Mother's Day night. It is 11 o'clock p.m. guys. It's late. You may ask yourself, what are you doing recording videos on Mother's Day? Guys, I'm just so excited, so thrilled. You guys broke a bunch of records for the channel today. Close to 200 views on SPCE, the video I published this morning, kind of leading into earnings for tomorrow. And I gotta say, guys, just really excited me. I thought I'd come on again, produce a video I think is gonna be very helpful for some of you guys who are trading, day trading in the market today. And just wanted to go over a bunch of sort of tips that I would like to share with you guys. And I just want to thank you guys wholeheartedly for, again, breaking previous records on views and likes. Definitely motivates me and gets me excited to want to come on and share some sort of exciting, I think, tricks that will help you guys. As always, guys, appreciate the support and hope you guys had a wonderful Mother's Day and celebrated and took some time off and ready to sort of attack for tomorrow. As always, guys, I appreciate you. And so what I wanted to do was talk about the market trend. And one of the things that traders find themselves constantly doing is realizing that they're not adapting to the current market, right? And so what we saw about 2 months ago in February and March is we saw that the market really started to tank. And we know from pretty much COVID, and on previous videos we've talked about when COVID hit in March and we saw the market tank, that you could have thrown your money in pretty much any stock and just let it ride and everything was just up, right? We were so used to everything just going up and up and up, and that you essentially never saw anything in the red. And so one of the things that I wanted to really focus on in this video was talk about the market trend and adapting, especially specifically with earnings in mind. And what I've noticed is a lot of times that you'll notice in earnings plays that they play out differently. And one of the things that a good trader notices are market trends and adapts to them rather than fight them, right? Because a trend will go against you no matter what you think of it, right? The market doesn't care. And so one of the things that you should do in your arsenal is kind of reflect, if you don't already, and create a journal in terms of what trades you're taking, how you're taking them, where are you taking them, and if your essentially, thesis was correct. And so what I wanted to do today was focus on 3 specific stocks that are all recent earnings and kind of talk to you guys about what I'm noticing as a trend and maybe how that can help you out. And the first thing we could talk about is one of our favorite stocks probably on the channel is Apple. And so what I have here again is on my TradingView daily chart here. Each candle represents a day in Apple. And we talked about this level here on previous videos, the 127.50. And we mentioned when it broke out that we saw the 50-day to flatten out. We saw that clearly the 135 was the top, and we mentioned that we'd probably see some support as this 50-day flattens out and starts to sort of come up, and that's what we saw. We saw perfect bounces. And so if you follow this channel, I know for a fact that when you bought down here, you sold up here, and you rebought a portion of your shares at the 50-day support. But what I really wanted to do specifically was talk about what happened on earnings, okay, on this day right here. And so with that said, I'm going to actually go to the 28th of April. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pop up on my 5-minute chart, okay? And so what I want to do here is basically look at what happened after hours, okay? And so what we're seeing a lot of stocks do that report killer earnings, which we know Apple did, is they start to gap up, okay? And so people get excited and maybe they buy shares, they jump in and they're jumping in pre-market, getting ready for this thing to explode. And then what happens? Boom. The market sells off, right? The market tanks, the market closes the gap from the previous day, and in some cases it even closes down even lower. And so for Apple, what did that do? It gapped up on positive earnings all the way up to 139, trapped a bunch of people, squeezed anybody that might have been short, right? So the market makers are squeezing out the shorts out of the trade. They're holding the level, thinking that what? If this is starting to base, this is going to be support for a breakout. But in this case, it's a breakdown, okay? And so that's what we're noticing is a squeeze play, a hold the trend, and then a gap close, and then of course what, right? A constant sell-off, consolidation, whatever you want to call it, okay? And so hopefully you guys aren't the ones who are trying to build some long positions when you see this thing gapping up. And so what we saw too with AMD is the same sort of setup. And so if I go back here, and I want to go back to my daily chart, okay? Again, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the earnings play, which is, in this case, was the 27th of April. So again, I'm going to go back to my 5-minute chart. I'm going to go to April 27th, and I'm going to see the same exact play. So AMD reported earnings. We know that AMD has been killing it the last year, right? With all the chip shortages, they've been killing Intel. Gap up, hold some of the levels, gapped up in the pre-market. And then what do we see? A complete flush. Now check this out. The difference is that you could have said, well, we have previous day support, right? We have previous day support. So you can see there was some consolidation here. This is a 5-minute chart, right? And so people are constantly getting trapped on these levels, just going down and down and down, not waiting for that reversal, that engulfing candle that reverses and shows. And so what did you have here? Again, gap up on earnings, and then the market opens and guess what? It sells off. And so people are either buying long positions, they're getting squeezed out here. So if you're short going into earnings, they squeeze you out, right? You essentially hold the trend and then you flush down the next day. Same exact play as we just saw in Apple, okay? And that happened for AMD all the way down. And then it actually ended up closing negative, right? So it ended up closing here, and guess where it ended up closing for the day? Below that. So it was down, okay? And so you can see when it came up the next day, what? It came up to these highs at 85. And so if you were a buyer up here, you were essentially stuck, okay? And the last example I want to do, I don't want to make this video long, is PTON, okay? So same idea, guys. We're just going through chart after chart. Now, guys, some of these stocks I don't even trade. I'm just watching, right? Part of being a trader that we talk about is just chart watching, spending hundreds and thousands of hours every day, every year, just watching charts, understanding the price action, sitting on your hands, just watching and trying to make sense of what do you see in front of you? What's going on? Am I noticing a trend? That's all this is. This isn't something that I just got from somebody and I'm just recycling it to you. These are literally trends that I've noticed. And so when I hear, oh, I'm going to go long, I'm like, no, that's not the trend. The trend's clearly been playing the same. And what's interesting about PTON, we know about the, you know, I mean, it's obviously sad news that people are getting hurt, pets and children are getting hurt, and definitely don't want, you know, nothing to celebrate anyone making profits off of that. You know, it's bad news that what's happening with PTON. Still believe in the company, and hopefully, you know, there was a kid that passed away. So not at all not sensitive to the situation that we know that some of these companies are going through. Obviously, you know, no one has that in mind when they bake these products, but hopefully they'll get them stuff straight. And that's what happened here with the tank when they had to start recalling some of these treadmills. But what happened? Okay, earnings. And there was actually funny, if you guys have Market Watch and some of these sort of news articles are like, oh, PTON is tanking after earnings. Well, no, it actually gapped up. It did sell off. Okay, and then guess what it did? It reclaimed. And so again, what's the same thesis, guys? What? Gap up, hold the trend, bases. So people are expecting a breakout, right? What are they expecting a breakout? They're expecting a breakout back to what? To the previous levels where we had the breakdown. Okay, so back up here at like 93. And so you can see here what? In this case, what did we do? We squeezed. We got to 92, right? Close to that level, that 93 level there. And then we just flushed and sold off. We completely sold off. And what did we do? We closed that gap. Okay. And so that's what I wanted to talk about was, guys, that these gap ups aren't necessarily long plays the next day, right? They're next plays. And then what do? They sell off and then they close the gap, or they, like AMD, they close negative. And so just understand the market trend, reflect on some of these price actions on the earnings and see how they play out. We have Space and Palantir, which are two of the stocks that we cover heavily on this channel. So let's see how it plays, guys. As always, guys, if you did enjoy this short video and helpful video late night on a Mother's Day, I appreciate your support, and I will see you guys this week. Take care. Bye-bye.